Michael Bay's films offer us some of the clearest examples of non-complex, emotionally direct, mildly entertaining movies. He has built up a substantial body of work. In addition to directing music videos and TV adverts and producing films and TV series, he has also directed 7 feature films since the mid-1990s, with budgets ranging from $90 million to over $20 million. To date, these films have accumulated over $2 billion at the box office and have a global reach, with one film, Transformers: Age of Extinction, which became the highest grossing film in China. Bay's filmic style typifies mainstream US cinema that his name has come to function as shorthand for the distinctive form of 21st century big-budget cinema. Bay's films are occasionally discussed in positive terms as instances of Hollywood cinema's technological sophistication, but more frequently, they are invoked negatively as illustrations of Hollywood's decadence, its extravagant emptiness, conceptual superficiality with heavy commercialism, which creates a never-ending list of problematic scenes. His movies usually have 3 main elements: mindless action, female characters that are just there to look pretty, explosions, more explosions, slow motion. Did we mention explosions? And reuses shots frequently. Michael Bay movies seem to be specifically made for the teenager/fraternity bro dudes who like NASCAR and drink Mountain Dew while making fart jokes.
Bumblebee, stop lubricating the man.
If his highest grossing film made $2 billion and the average movie ticket costs around $9, then that means that we have 222 million bro dudes walking around this earth. The idea alone keeps me awake at night. But to be fair, I'll review 2 of his movies, Transformers, which represents the rise of Michael Bay, and his most recent film called Songbird, which ended his explosive career. Did you see what I did there? No laughs? Okay. With no judgment, my skill system will be out of 5 Mountain Dews. I'll start with his most popular franchise, Transformers. Michael Bay's Transformers movies have been dominating the global box office for a decade now. The big, loud films have evolved from a silly but fun action-adventure story into thunderous destruction, otherworldly pretty people, and a teenage boy's sense of toilet humor.
The boy's pheromone levels suggest he wants to mate with the female.
I'll focus on the first 2 movies, cause the other ones are just downright awful. The movie's plot is actually pretty great. It has a great premise, but all of that is ruined by Michael Bay. There's 3 main problems with this film. Number 1 is the over-sexualization of women. I mean, look at how this camera pans over Megan's body for over a minute, and this continues to happen throughout the movie. Number 2 is the awful comedy. Most of the jokes in his movies either have sexual or racial undertones.
Hey, Mudflat, what are we gonna do with this shrimp taco?
We just bump a cap in his ass, throw him in the truck, and then nobody gonna know nothing, not me.
Not in my trunk.
I don't know, boss. I've never seen that. That's loco. Don't go Ricky Ricardo on me, man. He find out.
Number 3 is the overload of patriotism, so much so that I'm really starting to think that Michael Bay really does think America is the only country in the world.
Listen to me. You're a soldier now. All right? I need you to take this cube, get it into military hands while we hold them off.
You can make a decent argument that at this point, if you're looking for compelling stories and characters from the Transformers movie, you're simply missing the point. These movies are technical spectacles where Bay flexes his considerable muscle creating destructive set pieces that are second to none. The character work and plotting are just vehicles that drive us toward the explosions. The franchise has found itself provoking people's outrage on multiple occasions, largely because it neglects those fundamentals. But in all fairness, they weren't all the way bad. The plot was pretty good. Some scenes were really well shot. It was mainly the execution of it that was off, including how the sequel, Revenge of the Fallen, didn't even have a complete script. And for that, I'll give them 2.5 Mountain Dews. The next movie by Michael Bay is Songbird. You probably didn't hear about this movie because it was a huge flop. This movie was heavily criticized for its exploitation of the COVID pandemic. In my opinion, This movie represents the fall of Michael Bay. I think people now can see the issues with his movies, and this movie symbolizes the fall of the Michael Bay era as we know it. This movie is so bad that I just don't understand how they thought this was going to work. To spare you from watching this terrible movie, here's a synopsis. Songbird is about the COVID pandemic and how in just 4 years the virus has mutated to the COVID-23, which has completely reshaped existence. There's martial law in Los Angeles and something called Q zones, where sick people are basically taken to die and cut off from supplies. Everyone has to do a daily temperature check, and they don't even bother explaining how that's done with your phone. Bike messengers like Nico are essential in this dystopia because they can get through the now divided city of Los Angeles, especially because the young man happens to be one of the rare people immune to the disease. He wears a bracelet that affirms his immunity status and allows him a safe passage, delivering under the GPS guided instruction of his boss Lester. Nico has a girlfriend named Sarah who lives with her grandmother, but the star-crossed lovers only really get to communicate through FaceTime and closed doors. There's a musician named May that communicates with her fans through video calls. She does live concerts where nobody seems to notice her terrible voice.
Take a deep breath, everything will be alright. Leave your fear.
And has a number of fans, including a recluse named Dozer and a rich guy named William, who sells illegal immunity passes to rich people with his wife Piper, and also happens to be sleeping with May. He's clearly found a way to profit while the world has fallen apart. There's a guy named Emmett Harlan. He works with the Department of Sanitation and seems to really enjoy taking people out of their homes and stabbing people apparently.
Don't forget your temp check in the morning, and remember, stay safe, sane, and sanitized.
Of course, Sarah's poor grandma gets the disease, and it looks like she and Sarah are going to be shuttled off to the Q zone, never to be seen again. Nico races through Los Angeles to get an immunity bracelet like his to save her. He gets the tip from Lester to ask the Griffins for a bracelet. They're freaked out because they don't know how he knew that. Piper gives him an address, but it turns out to be a trap. Emmett is there. He stabs him, of course. Nico tries to run, but the place is surrounded by the sanitation guys. A random guy saves Nico and then disappears for the rest of the film. Sarah tells Nico that her grandma died. Meanwhile, Piper catches her husband talking to May. May is trying to leave him, but William is not having it, and he decides to go to her place. Piper warns her that he's coming, and May takes her time packing up, like there isn't some crazy guy coming to her place in any time. Nico goes to the Griffins. His boss warns Piper that he's in her house. She confronts him, and Nico begs her to give him a bracelet. She eventually agrees to help him. The sanitation guys are already in Sarah's house by now. She hides and somehow manages to switch with one of the hazmat suit guys without being noticed. She carries her grandma's body outside with the sanitation guys, and no one seems to notice. Emmett finally noticed that she switched with one of his guys. Sarah starts running like this. Emmett catches her and tells her that she's immune because she should have got infected already by her grandma. You would think that he would let her go, but nope. Meanwhile, after taking literally everything from her room, she takes her guitar. Girl, do you want to die? Of course, because May took forever to pack. William catches her. He starts strangling her and going crazy. But thankfully, she's saved by Dozer's drone. By this time, Nico reaches her apartment. Emmett is there. He goes on a rant about how immune people are basically gods. You know, the normal stuff.
You see, Munies, we're not human anymore. We're gods.
And of course tries to stab Nico once again. But Nico fights him off and stabs him with a pencil. He conveniently finds Sarah's phone, where she put the picture of the sanitation truck as her wallpaper. Not sure how she knew Nico was gonna look at her phone. Nico asks Lester to help him track the truck, and he goes to find her. The truck reaches the Q zone, and Nico arrives just in time to put the bracelet on Sarah's arm, managing not to get shot. by the soldiers at the same time. He tells them that she has the immunity bracelet and they let her go.
We got a bracelet!
Like nobody just saw him just put it on her. They kiss for the first time. Nico is worried about infecting her, but she says it's fine cause she's immune just like him. Piper framed her husband and Emmett for selling the illegal immunity bracelets. May and Dozer are both happy, and Nico and Sarah are on the beach somewhere having the time of their lives. The end. All of the characters who have barely shared actual screen time are loosely tied together in a movie that's ultimately incredibly thin on plot in the end. We have a character that just shows up to help Nico, never to come back again. Michael Bay may have only produced Songbird, not directed, but his influence is all over it. To beef up the thin story, the shots are made in a very Bay way and chops up the editing so much that one expects to spot an Optimus Prime on the horizon. It's all meant to disguise the nothing of it all. It's an incredibly frustrating film that feels like it's constantly getting distracted from the story it should be telling. I give this movie 0.5 Mountain Dews. In conclusion, despite critics' opinions, Michael Bay has figured out the formula for making money-making movies. While Bay collects inflated paychecks, moviegoers miss out on what could be really cool films. Bay can make good movies. It's not like he doesn't have the talent. The Rock, Armageddon, and The Island were all entertaining films in my estimation. Even the first Transformers movie in 2007 did pretty well critically. It's largely been the 3 sequels to the first Transformers film that have come to solidify Bay's reputation as the guy who makes mindless, big-budget action flicks with sexy young lead actresses and way too many explosions. It's as if the billion-dollar box office revenues he's enjoyed have enabled him to make lousy movies. Bay knows he can take a $20 million budget and churn out a healthy profit using his proven and cliche formula. Why bother rocking the boat by trying to produce a cinematic gem? However, people have progressed past the need of these types of movies. The quality we expect from movies and TV shows are much higher than 10-20 years ago. I think that the Michael Bay era of mindless movies will never come back again. Thank you for watching. You guys better like this video for subjugating myself to this much of Michael Bay. Make sure to comment and subscribe. Thank you once again. In the honor of Michael Bay's dead career, cue some Linkin Park.